Hello, my name is Shaishan, and this is my primitive assignment 1. This is the left part here. This is the back part here. This is the right part here. This is the front part here. And this is the top part here. I'm going to just start to play. A and D basically rotates the turret around like this. And I decided that the I and K key basically increases the turret speed like this. And I'm just going to decrease it and as for like the primitive models and how I made it, I basically used started from the tank body cube tree here. I used the scaling tool to basically made it into a smaller cube 4, which then made it into a smaller like cube 5 here, which I then scale it to be a much more narrower and smaller cube right here to like mimic a cannon from a tank from here as well. Then I basically just made the flag out of like a smaller cuboid and thinner cuboid as well. And then I went down to the tank treads here. The tank treads I basically created it by making like a small cylinder first, which I then attached an even smaller cylinder to it, and did so by Blazar and copy pasted it and scale it down to this smaller version here and here. And then I attach a bunch of like cuboid plates to simulate tank treads and display armor here, which I then like scaled a bit more to simulate the tank tread armor. And that's how I made the primitive model itself. As for like the formula and the techniques I used to like bring it to the desired result, I basically used the transform pivot point, which basically sets the pivot point of the game object that I'm also going to rotate, which is this part here. Now I'll just change it to 6 to like demo like that it works. See here. And the rotational speed is basically used with the speed setting like formula to like decide the speed at the startup of the scene itself, which is the game itself, which is here, which I then use in the speed adjustment formula here, mathf.clamp, which just basically ensures that when the current speed is incremented or decremented by speed step, which is 5.0f, it does not exceed min speed or max speed. So it just creates a limit of the speed range itself, which I did just to make the tank a lot more realistic in its rotation. Then as for the flight rotate turret here, I just basically make it so that like it receives a rotational input from the rotation axis here, which just makes it horizontal, which the Unity editor would then take in and make A and D the keys to like rotate in. Then here I basically use the transform rotate around using a pivot point from the earlier like public transform here. The vector tree up just basically like creates just a y-axis around it, which it uses to rotate. Rotational inputs from here. This is the one that decides the 1.0 like the f that it rotates around. The current speed is like taken from the value like here, which is like made up private, and then it also like uses time delta time to be much more consistent, as like devices with like faster frame rates can be a lot more faster than like devices with slower frame rates. So this is just basically to like make it a lot more consistent by calculating based on the last frame. And that should be it. The reflection of the difficulties that I felt while like modeling and like scripting was that like I initially assumed that I have to use rigid body for like the total XYZ axis, since it was like the physics thing that happened. But then I like realized that it was just really a bad idea because of the amount of like complexities that were to like introduce this into it, and the fact that like the collisions never really did matter when it came to like rotating it by itself. So I scrapped that for the scripting part. Then as for like the modeling part, it was a lot more difficult since I had to like relearn how to model, as I was like very accustomed to Maya and memorized the shortcuts. So I think that was a difficult part about like modeling in like Unity. And then my initial approach really was to like use rigid body to like do the rotation by itself.